every thumbnail on YouTube basically looks like this, and it's kind of my fault. Let me explain. So this is Diary of a CEO, and I'll say he's most likely the godfather of this style, if I if I had to take a guess. But it's the most prevalent. He's the one that I believe is probably most used for it. I've kind of pirated the term and commandeered it for myself. I'm calling it the vaccine style. I talked about it on Twitter, as I used it pretty successfully with my own channel here. Couch co-op. I basically needed a thumbnail format that was really easy to like kind of like see, understand what it is, really easy to make, because I'm not trying to spend more than like an hour a week on this channel, which might sound blasphemous, but that is what I was like attempting to do. And this is like the stumble that I was like, okay, this is the one that's probably gonna be the best for what I did. I did it for my first ever video here, and it just went viral, and then I just kept going viral, and I basically went so viral I couldn't stop. Then from there I was like, hey, I basically told some of my friends that like, hey, like this thumbnail style is like the truth. So I told, let me go see, where is it at? Bottom Knitting. So this is a good friend of mine. You might know him as Manimal on Twitter. Yeah, he's a cool guy. So I'm not gonna say put him onto this. This guy's also like, you know, a genius himself. But I'm like, hey, you should try this out. And he tried it, and then I'm not gonna expose some of the other people I'm friends with and what they're doing. But I will say people like Noah Morris and Fed have also used this thumbnail style on some of their own channels. I'm not gonna disclose those specific channels because that's not for me. But Manimal said I could talk about some of this stuff here. And then from there, I basically tweeted about it on Twitter. This guy named Freshies, he copied it, was having like very consistent success with it. He did it on his main channel again about 4 months ago when I started talking about it. And I mean, quest for him. A good friend of mine started another channel, basically very similar to mine, but in Spanish, using the same thumbnail style and the same principle that I outlined before. It worked again, and it keeps on working. And I'm going to talk about why it's working pretty consistently and why YouTube kind of looks like this. So first format, let's go back to Diary SEO, even though probably a little bit noisy, and they could definitely, fix some of their stuff. But the core reason why these work well is kind of twofold. The first fold is it's just really easy. It's attention grabbing, right? And there's kind of a difference between scroll stopping and clicking, right? So you want something that stops the scroll. Generally black text, like just black background, white text with kind of a red highlight will stop the scroll. It's attention grabbing. From there, now that you've stopped the scroll, it's a lot easier to confirm the click because you can have what's going on there, right? So like this is what casual sex is really doing to women. So if I'm a podcast like viewer, this will stop my scroll and I'll confirm the click. If I go to like some of the more popular stuff, it's usually kind of like weirder stuff that works well. Always look into someone's left eye. I'm like, what's going on there? And then you like read the title, number one neuroscientist, stress leaks through skin. Click on it, right? It's interesting. It becomes interesting. So yeah, that's decent reason why it works. It stands out, it stops the scroll, and then it helps you confirm the click. And what really confirms the click is copy. I find that the ones that consistently do the best are the ones that have good copy. Obviously I have, hey, gaming will never be the same, or we killed Call of Duty, or the perfect FPS game, like just something like where it's like just really really good copy. And the ones that have like bad copy tend not to do well, or just bad concepts tend not to do well. Like Titanfall was killed, we killed Call of Duty. Again, talking about good copy there, I think this is probably just good copy, and that's like pretty easy to do. Like the beautiful thing about this thumbnail format is that it's very easy to do. The barrier to entry this is pretty low. You just need a subject, black background, white text, red highlight, and then like just the bare minimum copywriting skills, and you'll actually crush pretty hard. And for example, this is a guy with like, not that many subscribers. I think he had like 100 and something, and he saw the tweet, and he was inspired by the thumbnail format, and he did it here. The forgotten and misread Avenger, the Hulk will never be the same. This is great. I thought this was actually really good. This just completely, naturally, organically showed up on my homepage. Like as I was scrolling YouTube, because I was watching a bunch of like, I think it was like DC comic stuff, and like this like popped up, and I'm like, what? This is crazy. This is my thumbnail style. And then the guy ended up hitting me up on Twitter. Again, it kind of worked here. This is WestJet. I helped him with this one. Again, stopping the scroll with like the white and red text. I mean, it just stands out. And then here we went a step further. I kind of talked about this specifically in a video, but it's 2.3x outlier on his channel, and he did it with Dr. Disrespect. I think he did a variation of it, the sketch stuff. Obviously, Bottom of the Internet did it, and it works pretty consistently. And to an extent, I'm at fault for that. But here's so you can kind of take that to the next level and kind of own it. So right now, the big issue with this kind of style of text is that it's going to die. It's going to reach a final conclusion, a finality, if you will. And what happens then is if everything looks the same, nothing looks the same, and the advantage you have from using this to stand out is diminished pretty heavily. And that is problematic. And I can already kind of foresee that happening, and there are some pretty interesting pivots going on and kind of aligning with personal brands. So I'm not seeing it yet. It's going to happen. I do know 2 channels are actively making conscious effort for this pivot. I'm not going to talk about those because, again, not really in my place. And some of my friends run this channel. I'm going to make sure they get their bag before I kind of expose the secrets to the world. But more specifically, I will show you what I mean by personal brand and how you could pivot. So this thumbnail format also works for Colin and Samir. Their branding colors happen to be, guess what, black and yellow. So it stands out. You can still functionally do the same thing and stand out. If it's not going to be the, let's say, red, white, and black, you can do black, yellow, and white, whatever color combo is. Basically, it's black, white, and then an additional color, or white, a color, and then another highlight color. Is the way that you can do it. And then you tie that with your brand colors. Usually you have 3 colors for a brand or 2 colors for a brand. Colin Smear, it's, black and yellow. And then obviously the white helps it a lot. So instead of doing white text on red, you're doing black text on yellow, where you still get that high contrast. You still get that scroll stopping effect. And then you still focus on that specific, kind of cycle where it's like, okay, stop the viewer scroll and then get them to click, and then you click on it, and then you go from there. And this works pretty consistently. Look, the comments from your stuff like gets copied all the time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a little channel called, I believe it is How to Take Over the World podcast. I think it's this guy. So this guy essentially just copied the Colin Samir thumbnail format, and it did 245,000 views. Of course, it's Mr. Beast, yeah. It helps, but it does work, right? And I know it also works because not only does Colin and Samir do it, but one of my personal favorite podcasters, Jay Klausman, I have a lot of respect for. Hey, have me on sometime. I'd love to. He also does it. It's a little bit different. So for him, his branding colors are blue and white, and for the most part, that is what he's doing. And he goes a little bit more in depth. I would probably, use a little bit less copy for him, but it does work. It consistently works. So I'm not gonna sit there and be like, it doesn't work. It's the consistent stuff works. I can make anything go viral from Jenny Hoyos. This is a great one. It's also just a really good interview, by the way. And also, if I'm not mistaken, if I go to John Yushi, he does the same thing. Don't quote me on that. Oh, I really hope this doesn't play through my speakers. Okay. Yeah, so if I go to John Yushi, I think he actually does the same thing, but is in his own branding colors of the teal. So he does this exact same thing, right? It's like just the exact same thing, and it works. And you know why it works? Because it's like fundamentally how it works. I really don't know how to go more in depth. Like, the whole point is it stops the scroll and it confirms the click. I will say for him, it probably actually isn't as good as it's for some other people, just because it's not like a really polarizing color. Like Jay Klaus is like that very like nice saturated blue, really recognizable, stands out against a black background. The yellow text or the yellow highlight on the black void of Colin Samir works really well. The Diary of a CEO stuff works really, really well. But here it works not as well. I will say the production quality and the specific guest John gets is a little bit better, so the views are overall going to be a little bit higher, because unlike Colin, who does like some more guests like they want to do, and Jay, who does like some more stuff outside of just like YouTube, it's like Matthew Beam, it's like Dream, it's like Mr. Beast, Marquise Brownlee, it's all like the super big guys, and I even think like Thinking Media is doing this now as well to an extent. But yeah, that's just like a functionally like how it works and how you can get ahead. So when we're talking about how to get ahead is I was talking about, hey, use these colors, whatnot. But if you have like specific brand colors, you can figure out like what color palette works the best. So for example, if I was let's say Alex Ramosi, he's that like very really nice kind of like light but not too light purple that he has, or maybe it's like a fuchsia. I'm not really too sure. I think it's like more of like a purple / lavender. And if I were him, I would just do white and purple. Because yellow and purple probably connotation to the Lakers rather than acquisition.com, and if I'm not mistaken, acquisition.com is just white and purple. And then that's how I would do it. It's like white and purple, and then maybe like black text on purple highlight, or purple highlight or purple text on white highlight, a black background, something to that extent. There's a few ways you can go about doing it, and I think it would work really well. But this consistent thumbnail style has worked for Colin Samir, John Yushi. They're in the same space, by the way. They're just doing different thumbnails. Another one of my clients that it's working with, it does really well. Like a bunch of people have been like my friends are doing it. I've done it for friends and clients. It consistently works. And to an extent, I'm the reason why YouTube looks like this. Sorry. But it works, and you should really take advantage of it before. I'm not gonna say it gets patched out, but I will say you should definitely like ride this train before it gets oversaturated, because hey, if you started doing this when I was like at 4,000 followers, you would have had some pretty good success. Now, hey, there's probably a lot of people that are following me that are in the same niches, and you're gonna be competing for the same views, the same thumbnail. Not a good idea. It could be a good idea. That's a kind of maybe even different video. That is how I kind of maybe ruined YouTube. My bad. But I think at the end of the day, I think more creators are going to get a benefit from this. And I hope this has inspired you to maybe try it. And if you don't try it, unlucky. If you do try it and you don't succeed, hey, maybe alter it to your own brand colors, or you have some consistency there where you can shift it, where it's like, hey, my colors are like, couch co-op. What I might do is I'll probably end up switching this to a white background, and then I'll do maybe black text on a green highlight. just to future proof it a little bit and kind of give myself a little bit of a moat. Who knows? But yeah, hope this helps. Hope this makes sense. And I am sorry if every one of your homepages look like this. I know I've some people have sent me screenshots and DMs where it's like 5 or 6 videos on the homepage are all the same. Let me know if I'm right from different creators. That's my bad. Yeah, it works. Keep doing it. And yeah, gonna be posting more of these soon.